Hey everybody, welcome back. So in this box, I have a vertical 3D printing cabinet by a company called Crafit. C-R-A-F-I-T. They say, high-end vertical 3D printer cabinet. Exhaust odor, store filaments, keep temperature, and reduce noise. I have no place else to assemble this except here in my workshop. We're still got the after Christmas mess, and there's no way I'm going to have room inside the house to do this. So my apologies to Crafit, but I have to do it out here. This was sent to me for the purpose of this review, and I will have links below and coupon codes if I can get them. So first things first, I'm going to get it all out of the box. I'm going to try and get it laid out in some kind of intelligent fashion, and then we'll assemble it. So let's get started. All right, it took me about half an hour, but I believe I have everything out of the packaging. And there is a lot of parts in packaging to this. That entire can is filled up with plastic wrap, styrofoam. Some of these smaller pieces I left in the plastic wrap because that will help me not lose them. Be aware there are electronics in this and wiring, so you do want to kind of be careful how you take it out. I'm going to get all of this packing crap out of my way because all it's going to do is be in my way. And we're going to start an assembly. It does come with a manual. And the manual I really haven't had a chance to look through too much, but so far they're saying it can take up to 90 minutes for assembly and that it needs 2 persons. Well, I've only got me. I mean, my wife can come out and help me to do some things, but her back is worse than mine. But the instructions so far don't look too bad. And if I run into any issues, I will stop and point them out. But other than that, I'm not going to bore you with an hour's worth of putting in screws and other fasteners. Some things worthy of note that I like: all the small parts comes in bags that are numbered, and I have them laid out. They've even got the tools in numbered bags. You'll notice it goes from 10 to 15 though, because some of the parts that are numbered are not in bags. Like this part's an 11, this part's a 12, and there's 13 and 14, then it goes back to bags. I don't mind that. Once you kind of figure it out, it makes sense. I just finished step 4, and so far so good. The instructions are more than adequate, and the tools are certainly adequate. And the screws all fit. I haven't had to bend anything or force anything to fit. So far everything is fine. A couple things worthy of note, at least one, is the screws you put in to this steel tube. Remember, this steel tube is hollow and there is no insert inside the tube. So if you over tighten those screws, you will crush it. But so far I'm not having any issues. I've reached the point now where you've got to flip it over on the other side. And I'm not seeing that I should have a problem with that. Everything isn't super tight yet, but I think I can flip it over without destroying anything. So that's what I'm going to do next. So it is right at lunchtime, maybe 5 after 12, and I'm going to take a break for lunch. I've got it stood up. I've got the feet on it. I've got the 4 filament holders on it. Now, note that they do say these filament holders can be mounted underneath. You can put 2 up above and 2 below, and for hanging if you want. I just put them all up there because I thought that looked the best for now. It's not done yet. I obviously have to put the doors on, both the large doors in here and the small doors up here. I have some cable management and some wiring to do. There's the door, the lower doors there. There's the upper doors. Here's my little power brick. Here's some of my cable management. There's the upper doors. Here's a part that the hose hooks onto. And I still have a few little odds and ends of pieces here. I'm not sure where they go. But I came out about 9:45 in the morning. I had to sweep the floor and clean the area and straighten up a little bit. And then I unpacked it and I got rid of all the stuff, all the packing materials. And at noon, this is where I'm at. So everything fits together really well. I had no issues so far with anything lining up or fitting together. So here's something worthy of note here. It's a minor niggle, but you know what? If I didn't find something to complain about, it wouldn't be me. Whoever installed these plastic sheets into the metal frames didn't peel the plastic back away from the edges before they clamped it in. Which means if you try and just grab it and peel it away, it'll just leave a ragged edge all around there. So what you got to do is you got to, if you're assuming you don't want to take it apart, which I'm figuring you don't, you got to kind of take a razor blade or a really sharp utility knife, and you have to run it around, all the way around, like this, all the way around the entire thing. Oops, trying not to go up on it, too high up on the plastic if you can. This should be done at the factory. In fact, it should be peeled away before it's put into the frame, because that's just sloppy not to do it that way. But if that's the only thing I find wrong with this, and so far it pretty much is the only thing I've found wrong with it, if that's the only thing I find wrong, I'm not going to complain too much, I don't think. See if I can get that all to come off nice now. There we go. Up, almost. Left me a little over here. All right, and you're going to have to do that on both sides. Note that that is just the doors. The side clear panels, whoever did that did properly, at least from what I can see, did properly peel it back before they clamped it in. So I believe it is all done. I don't have any parts left. I do have some extra fasteners they gave me in that one little pouch that has like one extra of everything in it. But it is all done. The doors are all on. Got nice magnets that hold the door shut, top and bottom. The only issue I had with the doors, well, I had two issues with the doors. One was the fact that it annoyed me that nobody pulled the plastic back before they put it in the frame, but that was minor. The other issue I had with the frame is one of these little magnets, and I think it was this one down here. Yeah, that one there, you can see the glue on it. The first time I opened the door, it stayed on the little metal plate. They have little metal plates here and at the top, and then the same here, plate on the bottom and a plate on the top. The magnets connect to, and they connect pretty firmly. And the first time I opened that door, that magnet stayed on it, and this door needs to be tweaked a little bit, but that usually is just kind of like that. There we go. That was the doors, and that was all very minor. The other issue I had, which wasn't minor, and whose fault is it? I don't know. There is a break here in this plastic. There, you can see it there, I think, pretty good. I did not inspect every piece as it came out of the box. I just didn't. I set it all aside and I started putting it together. Was that like that? Or did I do that? I don't know. You be the judge, as Paul Harrell liked to say. And that is it. Let's look around the back. I put this piece on back here. And then, of course, if you wanted to connect the outlet hose, it would go on there like that. And they gave a big hose clamp around here someplace for it. I do not believe I'm going to be able to put it in a place where I can use that exhaust like that. I will probably wind up just putting some kind of carbon filter over it. I have it plugged in, of course. It's got a nice wire mesh on the bottom for storage. You can probably store quite a few rolls of filament down there. It's got spots up here for, what is that, 8 rolls of filament? 8 rolls of filament. There are 2 holes here. And I think that about covers it. The front panel, when we turn it on, it tells us the humidity and the temperature. We can turn the light on. And before you even turn it on, there is a light, a LED strip that goes all the way around that fan enclosure. Not sure why it's there, but it's kind of cool looking. But we can turn the light on, and boy, it lights up really well. I also got the cable management pieces on. And you can see those there and up at the top. Now they just stick on, and they seem like they stick really, really well, but for any reason they don't. There are strategically placed holes in it where you could put screws if you so desired. And we can turn the fan on. You have a button here for the fan. So we have an exhaust fan. And the only thing left to do is get it out and get a printer put in it. I think I know where I want this to go, but right now I can't get it there, unfortunately, because there's too much stuff already there because we're a mess after Christmas. Boy, that is a big opening too. It would be pretty easy to put a fairly large printer in there. Now, if you're using something like an Ender 3 where the bed moves, it's going to be a smaller printer because how much space the bed needs to move. But if you're running a Core XY printer like a Flash4 J5M, it's going to look tiny in there. It really is. Even mine that's fully enclosed would easily fit in there. Anyway, that looks pretty nice. Let's get a printer in it and let's see what it looks like. I have an Ender 3. In fact, this is my original Ender 3, which means it has the old steppers in it, which means it'll be loud when it's printing. I have that in it. I have it preheated for PLA because it is a cold morning here in the desert, and I wanted a chance to get the interior of that preheated a little bit for the best type of print I could get. I have 8 spools of filament loaded into it. I'm going to be printing off this front one here, but I do have all 8 spools in it so you can see how they fit. One thing worthy of note is these size of spools fit on the spool holders fine, but these extra wide ones, especially like that one, I don't know if you can see it, let me get this one out of here, like that one in the back, it doesn't really fit in it very well. It's really too wide to fit completely onto that spool holder. I did put a piece of black Gorilla Tape across here to cover up that break in the plastic. I went back to my earlier videos trying to see if that came out of the box like that or if somehow I did it during building it, and there is not a clear view of this spot, so I really can't tell. Let's just assume I did it because, I mean, look where I'm working. I did sweep the floor first, and I was trying to be careful of it, but I can be ham-handed sometimes, so let's just assume it was me. So the cooling fan is running in there, and you can hear the difference in noise, and I am going to start a print. And you can see the spools over here. And you know what, just for sport and amusement, and the power is off to it now, so all its lights are off. So just for sport and amusement, let's turn the lights off out here. I only have the overhead light on. Let's turn the lights off and let's turn it on so we can see the lights in it. And I did, the main reason I switched to the action camera was because how tall this thing is. In order to get the whole thing in on the phone, I got to be back 10 feet from it. So that is just that strip light that runs around the fan housing in the back. Let's turn the main light on. There is the main light. I'll tell you, it lights the inside of this up really, really well. It's pretty impressive. Let's turn the fan on to hear it. So you absolutely can hear that over the sound of the printer fan. Let's turn it back off so I don't want to listen to it. I'm going to turn the big light back on, the overhead light. So I have a print ready to go in here, and it is preheated. So let's do our print and we'll see how it sounds. So while this doesn't completely stop all the sound coming out, you can see it's got a decent sized, I don't know, it's got a 5mm gap down the front and same down the sides, maybe even a little bit bigger. So it isn't perfectly sealed. So some of the sound is going to get out. So now let's listen to the difference in sound. Doesn't completely deaden it, but it makes a significant difference. Seems to be feeding just fine from this roll of filament up here, not seeing any issues. So I'm going to let it finish. It's only about a half-hour print. My print is all done. I don't know how long it took. Does it tell me? 34 minutes. I went inside and had a bagel and a cup of coffee, came back out, and 72 inside. So that's doing pretty good. It printed well. So there you have it. I'm going to come back and sum my thoughts up and tell you what I think about this. So now let's talk about what I liked, what I didn't like, and whether I think you'd like it and whether I think it's a worthy purchase. The first thing I liked about it to me is a big one, at least for me, and that is the concept that in a 2 foot by 2 foot square footprint, you can have your 3D printer, you can have 8 rolls of filament ready to go. You have some storage down on the bottom for either extra rolls of filament or something, say like this center toolbox here that goes in between the upper and the lower. That would sit down there perfectly, and that would give you storage for your 3D printer tools, for extra parts, for all kinds of things. Or you could even 3D print a modular thing to go down there that would give you the storage you need for parts and tools and things like that. It's really attractive. So this could go in a small room, which it is going to go in a small room, or in an apartment, and it lets you have everything you need to print in a very small spot that doesn't take up a lot of room. And it's well lit, it's well organized. I love the concept of this. Next thing I really liked about it was how well thought out the assembly was. The packaging and the instructions, it all made sense. It all went together very easily. There were no issues at all in assembling this. I liked the cable management. I liked how the power plugs are in the back. They gave you enough cable management to keep everything out of the way. It's got a fan in the back. It's got temperature and humidity. Little strip light around the fan is kind of cool. It's unnecessary, but it's kind of cool. And I like the fact that if you're living someplace, or if you're going to put it in a place where you can exhaust the fumes outside, you can do that. The ability there is to do it, or you can just put a charcoal filter on the back of it. Another thing I liked was how sturdy it is. It is very sturdy once you get everything together and tightened. It's not something that you have to worry about bumping and knocking over. That's not going to happen. The legs are all, you can level them. They screw in so you can get the correct level no matter where you put it and tighten them down. I like the doors. I like how much visible area there is around it. It's very attractive. So all 3 sides are visible. Only the back is covered. And it's really a nice looking unit. I like the large doors. There's an awful lot to like about this. I like the appearance. I like the black and the wood. I think that looks really good. I like this control way up high where normal-sized people like me can see it. I like how much space there is on the inside of this. So if you're using a Cartesian printer like a Ender 3 where the bed moves back and forth, you're limited to size because of that. But even with the bed clips on the front, I had more than enough room for the Ender 3, and of course you've got a lot of height in there as well. There's a foot above the top of that spool holder in there. So if you wanted to mount some of the spool holders underneath there, you certainly could, and use this storage up here for something else. I also like the power plug in the back. That means you only have one power cord actually coming out of this unit. Everything else can be plugged in there. So they gave you a power plug for the fan and the light. They gave you a power plug for your printer and a spare power plug for anything else you can think of. Maybe you want to have a dehumidifier inside of it. Maybe you want a dehumidifier up in here and you can run the cord down in there. You don't have to have another cord coming out of this other than the one in the back if all you need is 3 outlets. All right, now let's cover the things I didn't like. First and foremost, I think these side pieces are just way too flimsy. I think that's going to cause them problems in shipping, in getting it to people with them unbroken. Maybe the answer is just to make it thicker. Instead of something, I don't know how thin that is, but it's thin. Maybe it's to double the thickness of it. Not that big of a deal in the doors or even up in here. They're small enough that it makes them a lot stiffer. But that, man, that is awful flimsy. I really think that needs to be fixed. That's my biggest complaint with it. One thing I do appreciate is the fact that the side panels, they have made it very easy to replace. There's just clips top and bottom and sides held in with Phillips head screws. So you could easily pop those screws and those clips out and put a new piece in here. Also, I have some minor niggles, and one of them is the doors. I think these doors here should be sealed better. Having a 5mm gap or 1/4-inch gap all the way around the doors and down the middle. If you're really trying to seal this up to try and keep the heat in and drafts out and the smell out, that's really not going to cut it. Now, that's something that could be easily fixed with weather stripping down from the local hardware store, but it would be nice if it came with something in the package that was as well thought out as the rest of this is, that would fit in there and work. So if I haven't made it clear by now, I really do like this, and I am going to be using it, and you will be seeing more of it. There really is very little not to like about this other than those flimsy side panels. So I do want to thank Crafit for sending this out for us to check out. I want to thank you guys for watching my videos. There will be the typical affiliate links and other info below, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye for now.